For the Director of Finance, Ms. Ortega. Ms. Hendricks. Mr. Keeley. Mr. Rosensteel.
Here.
Chairperson Dillon, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Michelle. Alrighty. Let me get my materials out.
Yeah.
Alrighty, our first item on the agenda is the approval of the committee agenda and the work plan. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The next item is adopt conforming compensation policy changes to section 700 of the board's policy manual. Cassandra, I think we turn that right over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair Dillon. If you remember, in July and August, we had a discussion on the pay comparator groups for investment staff and non-investment staff, and we adopted a different pay comparator group for the investment staff, and then subsequently adopted conforming policy changes for the salary ranges of those staff that were impacted by the new comparator group. We had not completed gathering the data for two other non-investment staff positions of the general counsel and the system actuary. So we were bringing back the pay comparison and salary recommendations for those two positions. And Adam Barnett of McLaughlin Partners is here to just provide a little bit more information and answer questions if you have any.
Can you hear us okay, Adam? Is that coming
There
through?
he is.
I can see you.
Oh, do you hear
Thank
us?
You can
Okay.
see us?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh,
Great.
good.
I feel that I'm overwhelming the room.
Well,
You
it
are
is-
a little
It is
bit.
kind of a big head presentation, but have you ever seen that on Jon Stewart? Jon Stewart does a great segment on that. This is kind of like that. But you're
So I'm here
amazing.
at a small screen on my monitor, so you're
But
okay.
you're very clear. This is great technology. Wow. Okay.
Okay, so Adam, did you want to go over the data in your material, the presentation that you submitted?
Sure, it should be fairly straightforward. On page 2, again, just in terms of the material, we can go through this quickly. There are two positions that you had asked us to review the salary ranges for. Again, the general counsel and the chief actuary. For these positions, we're using what we'll describe as the legacy peer group, which was the original peer group, not the modified peer group that were used for the investment positions. And this peer group, as the committee remembers, includes a weighting of 67% to other large and complex public funds. That's a peer group of approximately 15 other organizations with median assets of 70 or 80 billion dollars. So organizations that are generally much smaller than CalSTRS. And then all private sector organizations for a 1/3 weighting in terms of the peer group. And if you look at page 3, if we can look together at page 3, what we see is that the midpoints of the salary ranges are anchored at the median of that blended peer group. So for the chief actuary, the midpoint is anchored at approximately $200,000, and there's a salary range around that. And then for the general counsel, the midpoint is anchored again at a competitive median of $205,000. As the analysis showed, there was no the existing salary range. Your existing salary range for the general counsel conforms with the competitive market data, and then the salary range that you have for the chief actuary lags materially the competitive market. So what's proposed is an increase in the salary range for the chief actuary with a midpoint of $200,000, a range maximum of $237,000, and a range minimum of $163,000. Again, The midpoint is anchored at the competitive median of the blended group, and the range spreads conform with CalSTRS existing practices. Any questions?
I don't have any, Adam. Do you have anything else you want to add before I turn it back
I
over
don't
to
believe so.
Cassandra? Is there any, go ahead, Cassandra.
This is an action item to adopt the conforming policy language, which is just to make the corrected salary ranges within the policy that's attached.
And it's for the system actuary and the general counsel.
Correct.
Any further comment? All right, it is an action item. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Then those changes shall be made. Okay, I'm experiencing technical difficulties. Hang tight. I've got to get back to my table of contents. All righty. Number 3 is approval of minutes from the September 11th session. It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Those minutes are approved. Number 4, Cassandra, the disclosure of the incentives.
And this is a consent item, so unless there were any questions, there's no presentation.
All right. Anyone? And HR executive report?
I did have something to report this time. Since my departure from the HR position last March, the position has been vacant until September, and we did a recruitment, and we have appointed a new head of human resources, and I'd like to introduce her. Her name is Marva Lee.
Hi, Marva.
Marva has been working for CalSTRS since 2008, and she has been working very closely with me and the rest of the organization to bring the organization where it is in a very progressive and effective and positive human resources program. So I really appreciate her depth and breadth of experience in human resources. It's very strong, and I really am excited about having her as leading the group.
Congratulations. Well, we're not very talkative today, so we don't have any information requests. Draft agenda for the next committee meeting, if you'll take a look at that. And we have that occurring in February. Cassandra, the addition of investment staff classification, can you talk to me a little bit about that?
We have on the work plan a classification study to evaluate a mid-range classification series in our investment levels. So I think that we're working on that. I'm not sure. I'd have to check with staff to see where we are in the progress with that to, if we were ready to bring it to the board. One of the things I want to make sure that's on here is the mid-year performance status of the CEO and CIO also. That's with you and Harry
Yep.
in February. Yeah.
Yep. Gotta do that too.
Is that something that we did formally or informally this last year?
It's on the work plan.
It's all part of the formal.
Yeah,
policy
and it's
process.
part of the policy that's identified. So
So would we have an item or an update then? I don't think we did last year.
we did have an update last year, and on the work plan it says mid-year performance assessment check-in with chair and vice chair.
Yeah, you could do a closed session report like
Yeah.
kind of thing. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
If you'd like to do that.
Would we do that in comp or would we do that in the board?
It's with the chair and vice chair.
It's your call.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd like, I mean, you have opportunity, the board agenda has a performance item always on it, so you can do that if you prefer.
It seems that since that the formal goes to the full board,
Yeah.
then we should do that as the full
I
board.
think that makes sense too, yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll make sure it's on the
Okay.
checklist for February.
All right. Thank you, Cassandra. Anything else? Any statements from the public? Wow, that's gotta be the fastest comp committee meeting we've ever had. So we will adjourn the compensation committee, and we have a break for 15 minutes before we do audits and appeals.